Well, welcome everyone to today's episode of TMI Advice You Didn't Want. Today, I don't know if you've been feeling it, but the Schumann Resonance has been bonkers bananas recently. The energy of our planet is just off the charts, really. And the best way to look at it is by looking at the Schumann Resonance. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So, in case we haven't met, my name is Karen.
And my name is Ashley. And I think that you should kind of tell people what it is. Because, like,
Okay.
I'm very involved in like spirituality and like all that kind of stuff. And like, um,
Yeah, I
I had
think
an
you asked me, what's that? Yeah. Yeah.
so
So Schumann resonance is basically the measuring. This is a scientific thing. Okay. It's the measuring of the electromagnetic field around the earth. Okay.
Mhm.
So we normally will sit anywhere between like 4 and 20 is generally the numbers of where it has sat for the last eons. Okay. Like that's a pretty normal quote unquote range. Well, within the past year or so, it has been building up and up and up and up. And on this past week, we were seeing levels of around 70. So the electromagnetic field, the energy around the earth, I would say it's like the collective energy of us, the earth, the universe, all of it, like all the beings that are focusing their attention on us right now, because right now is the time that we've been chosen to really up level our energetic presence. And the Schumann resonance is like that scientific measuring of that happening, right? Like, there are researchers out there that will just be like, we don't know why it's happening. It could be because of global warming. But like those of us in the spiritual community are like, no, we can feel the collective change. There is
Yeah.
a huge shift in my opinion, how people are thinking and feeling.
Mhm.
And I believe personally, there's becoming a bigger polarity between the people that have awakened and the
Mhm.
people that have not. And so that's where like this big, I don't even know how to explain it. Like this, it's just a big surge of energy at this point. And you
Mhm.
can see it in, um, like you can see it in politics. Things are like really heating up. Like here in the
Mhm.
US, over in Canada. Like you
Mhm.
can see it with that. You can see it with, I would say in healthcare, I can see it too, because in a lot of ways, like my patients can be shorter tempered. They can be more sick. I've definitely had more sick patients. And really, I only work 1 day a week. It's really not that much, but I can still see it and feel it in the hospital. Really, it's the felt perception of what's going on in the
Mhm.
hospital that is really, really relevant. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, that's just like in a nutshell what the Schumann resonance is.
Mhm.
And it really like it's gone through some really massive changes recently. I Heart Math Institute, they correspond a lot with, they do a lot of research with the people that do the Schumann resonance. And it's fun to kind of look and listen to some of the people that do Heart Math Institute stuff. Heart Math Institute is basically measuring the electromagnetic field around our heart, around our brain, that kind of thing, right? So they're doing that kind of measuring, but they're kind of comparing the two and seeing how we are also up leveling in our, not only our energetic body, but also I would say in our physical body, if that's
Mhm.
even a thing. So, but yeah, so.
Yeah, that was just like there's so many like powerful truths in that and so many things I'm like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. So first, really, like I had this conversation probably with like three different people yesterday about like the polarity and the contrast and how it's getting bigger.
Yeah.
And when you said that about the Schumann resonance, I was like, oh, that's interesting because I can feel it in so many different dynamics in my life. And I never really thought about it as that divide. Like you just kind of mentioned, like between like the lack of better words, the awake and the not awake,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And that really is creating that divide between the 3D and the 5D too. Um, so that's very interesting, and I think that's very important. And then so how you were saying about how that level is higher now, and you also mentioned how the people that are awake, their vibration is higher. Do you think that the two are connected?
I would definitely think that
Yeah.
personally. Like because as the energies around us increase. I mean, think about this. Who you surround yourself with is going to be who you become, right? So it's the same thing when it comes to energies of the earth, too. What
Mhm.
we're surrounding ourselves in is what our energetic level is going to be as well. So, I mean, there's
Yeah.
a reason. Yeah. But that's the thing. Like, there's a reason that people like to surround themselves with magnets can help with healing. Stones, like the energetic frequencies of these things really can help us to up level. Now, as we've said before, these are not the end all be all, but it really can help to support because we are so connected, right? And so what we surround ourselves with really does change our frequency. And I do think that the people that aren't awake are feeling it, and I get uncomfortable, okay? And I am aware of what's happening. It makes me uncomfortable. On Tuesday was my day where I was like, I don't like this. And I labeled it as anxiety, but later I went back. I had a friend, she told me, she's like, oh no, I just feel so uncomfortable. And I was like, that's the word. It's not anxiety because it's literally like, I can't even explain it any other way other than it feels like all the cells in my body are reorganizing and it is so uncomfortable. Like it's like they've just like exploded and then they're trying to put themselves back together. That's what it feels like. And in some ways it felt like anxiety because sometimes anxiety can just be like chaos, but it's not that that stays that way. That's the thing with these kind of up levels is it's not that it's going to stay that way, but it can create chaos because it has to break apart in order to reorganize. And for me, I like after Tuesday, I really got myself regulated, really focused on my nervous system. And then the rest of the week, it was like, I feel so much better. I think Friday night, I slept the best I have in months. Like I slept through the night. I felt so good the next morning and was like, okay, my body is doing something too. It's coming with me. So,
Yeah, that like I did the action of like my mind being blown as you were talking.
hmm
And as I came back down, my shoulder relocated. And
mm,
so before we got on our podcast, I was rubbing my shoulder because it was slightly dislocated.
mm,
And since my accident, it does that. And then I'm like, that's really fucking crazy that it
yeah.
just popped
What
right
is
as you're
that?
with all just me coming down on it. Anyways, to me, it's just like those are little confirmations of alignment, in my opinion. But
Absolutely.
yeah, it makes so much sense having these kind of conversations. And that's why these conversations are so important right now.
Mhm,
Because like you said, there's people that are even more sick at the hospital right now.
mhm,
And that is that polarity divide. Like the people that are not awake are going to be physically ill. They
mhm,
are going to pass away. And I don't know how I have that information, but a lot of people talk about that. Like it's a very collective knowledge is that like you cannot live right now in that shadow self and survive as the vibration energy goes up. Your body on a scientific level, there is like a lot of books about like the body keeps score and that kind of
mhm.
thing.
Yeah.
A lot of people talk about how cancers and autoimmune disorders and so many other things are a result of our mental health, not our
Yeah.
physical.
Yeah.
Obviously, all different factors play a role in it,
Mhm,
in my opinion. But as your mental health is diminishing because like negativity and not dealing with traumas, that like there's books on this from doctors talking about how that's creating illness in your body. So as that vibration raises, it's going to be more loud in your body. And this is a conversation I know I had with my partner and possibly yourself as well on the weekend. It was like, okay, sometimes when the energies go crazy, it like fuels you to manifest more and be more powerful. Like as we're recording this right now, it's the new moon, and new moon is a powerful time to manifest. And so, and then sometimes when those powerful energies of high vibration come in, it's slapping you in the face with all the things that you need to work on
Hmm.
to be able to align with that vibrational energy because you cannot align with high vibrational frequency if you're carrying on to super low traumas. You
Hmm.
have to find a way to release them to a certain extent.
And the
And
beautiful
so,
thing about us too is our body knows how to heal.
yes.
And once we start to release those subconscious beliefs, our body will just naturally do it. Like we don't
Yeah.
have to wish it, want it, hope for it. It just happens as we focus on that mental state of being. For me, mental is everything. Like I know you said that there's other factors into it too, and yes, but mental is what starts it all. Mental is
Hmm.
what attracts those other factors. Think about that. Okay? Like
Yes.
that's a mind-blowing situation too. Like I know somebody who she had the mental belief she had had Lyme disease, and she had the mental belief that every time she goes into the woods, and she verbalized this, and then she caught herself and she went, "Oh, that's my problem." But she had the mental belief that every time she goes into the woods, she attracts those suckers like crazy. And
Mm.
literally, once she finished saying it, she was aware enough. She went, "Oh, fuck. That's what I'm
Hmm.
doing." She's like, "I have literally just attracted those things to me."
Yeah.
Hello. Like, that's when you wake up and you go, "I literally create everything around me," whether it's those chemicals, pesticides, things in our environment that can cause disease. You've
Yeah.
attracted those things. Like, think about that. Like, we've been so programmed to think that our environment is so much more powerful than we are.
Yeah.
Bullshit. You're attracting those things.
Well, it's really like when you think about like obesity, like this is a really good example. So I can gain weight so easily,
Mm-hmm.
like super easy. And I eat mostly healthy and I eat usually very small portion sizes. Like I'm a small person. And my partner is a bigger guy, like in height. But he is so skinny and like muscular. When I met him, he had a six pack and he had been to the gym one time in the last 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Like that just doesn't make sense. And he eats like unbelievable amounts of food, like fat person amounts of food. Like he should be 300 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where you can really be like, it is a state of being. Like Dr. Caroline Leaf talks about how you can unlock genes. So just because like there's disease that is hereditary in your family, you have to actually unlock it in your brain. And if you don't unlock it, you won't get it.
Exactly.
And so she's a neuroscientist, and
Yep.
it's the same idea. Like at some point, I unlocked that losing weight was hard for
Right.
me.
Right.
And that became my reality. And funnily enough, I've started to rewire that and found a program that has been working for me. And my partner, I think it was last week, I was saying how it's crazy how I'm losing weight so easily, and I'm doing the actual program maybe 40% of the time. And I've done things 100% of the time, worked out hard, dieted hard, like all the works, and nothing has budged.
Mm-hmm.
And he said to me, he's like, "Do you think that it's not so much what you're doing, but more of a mindset that you have that's different?"
100%. Yep.
And he's not the guy that believes he's an action-paced
Yeah.
doer.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
does do the mental work and the spiritual work too, but that's more my realm. And I was just like, huh, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Because yeah, somehow I just started losing weight.
Mm-hmm.
And I did create small changes, but they're also changes I've done before. We've done them before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, it's slightly different, obviously, but yeah, like the I will tell you, like I'll watch your TikToks and be like, she's lost weight.
Well, when we did, like, so this is kind of off topic, but on topic, like me, you, and both of our partners, we did a no carb, no sugar diet. And we did it for 2 or 3 weeks, hey?
Longer than that.
Was it?
Yeah.
And
It was
I,
it was about 2 to 3 months.
what?
Yeah, it was about 2 to 3 months that we did it because I don't do something for 2 to 3 weeks. I know it's not going to be effective.
Yeah.
So for me, I would have been like, no, we need to do this longer. But it was about 2 to 3 months because I remember whenever we would go over to my parents' house and we go over like maybe once a week, they would be like, oh yeah, you're on that thing again. You can't have potatoes. Okay. Like, and they would try and change what they made at the house. And it was multiple times that we would go over and they'd be like, oh crap, we forgot again. So
Yeah. Well, and so you're doing the same thing now, but you've incorporated meat. And I'm doing the same thing now, but I've incorporated dairy. And I've always believed, I had a doctor tell me when I was 17 that I'm lactose intolerant. And so,
belief,
yeah.
belief,
And
belief.
I'm like,
I mean, sorry, but yeah.
and I'm like, why is this working for me? Like, I'm supposed to be lactose intolerant and this
Mhm.
feels good. And I have less pain, I have more clarity, I have more energy, but I'm supposed to be lactose intolerant. And so, yeah, and I think I lost the most weight in that 2 to 3 months. I thought it was less than that. And I think I lost 10 pounds.
Mhm.
And, um, in those months, and I regained it immediately after.
Mhm.
And with what I'm doing now, like I said, I'm not doing it 100%. That I did 100%.
Yeah.
And I am not doing it 100%. I'll go a week or two of like eating normally and I don't gain any weight back.
Yeah.
And um yeah, it's crazy.
But your
So,
mental state from then and now is totally different because right now you're literally in the state where you're like, I can't do what I was doing anymore. Like it was not effective. I felt like crap. And
yeah.
so now you're really noticing. And it's not just noticing, okay? Because I said this to you once before. Like it wasn't that you weren't noticing, is that it's that there wasn't any action towards changing the way you thought or changing a habit pattern, right? So that's just what I saw.
So I think the difference was I felt stuck and like
Mm,
it was my only option. There
okay.
was many aspects of my life at that period of time where it felt like those were my only options.
Mm, hmm.
And right now, if am in some stagnant situations that suck, but I know they're not my only options.
Hmm.
So I'm like just waiting for the systems to catch up,
Hmm.
essentially.
Yeah.
And so, and I'm allowing them to happen too. Whereas like before it was like, this is fucked up. Like this shouldn't
Hmm.
be happening.
Yeah.
And
And you were just
I had
staying
to
in
like,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so like there's still an element of that, like where this is fucked up and
Sure, 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 sure.
I'm
Yeah.
ready for the change. But yeah, it's a different mindset completely.
Hmm.
So
Yeah. I mean, the thing of like feeling stuck, a lot of times there's no protection in that. And when we gain weight, it's because we're trying to protect ourselves. There's a part of us that feels unsafe, right?
yeah.
So for me, I knew like I gained about 20 pounds. This was about 7 years ago, right?
Hmm.
Because I felt unsafe about things that were happening in my environment, right?
Hmm.
So once I started to see what I was doing, it was like, ooh, that's
Yeah.
not great. I need to figure out how to create safety in my body. And it really had to do with how I was looking at the situation. And so I stopped focusing on things having to be a certain way, just like what you were saying, like you felt like there was only one option. I stopped
Mhm.
feeling like it had to be a certain way because somebody told me that this is how it had to be, and just gave myself more opportunity to look at other things. I mean, this had to do with my business, right? So I just felt really stuck in a lot of ways. And yeah, so it just it was a time period of my life that was extremely necessary because it helped me to um start to figure out how to create awareness around that, right? Because the awareness at the end of the day is what is going to make or break us. If we're aware that we feel a certain way and we go, wait a minute, I've been feeling like that for a long time. I think I've created a habit around it. I think it's time to stop. I think it's
Hmm.
time to start doing some new things, whether I changing my environment. Yeah, that can help. Changing things that I do in my environment. Yeah, that can help. But really, it's how I think about those things.
Yeah,
Like,
it's the story that we're telling ourselves.
yeah, exactly. And when we can let go of the story, like you can watch other people create their own stories. What if you
Yeah,
could watch yourself create your own stories? What a
yeah,
difference would that make? You know how like when somebody's talking and so they say something and we immediately create a judgment around, "Oh, wow, they just did that to themselves." What if you
yeah,
could do that for yourself and you could start to see, "Oh, I'm creating the narrative that's not actually true. Like I've
yeah.
created this big whopper of a story that isn't actually what's going on. I've just this is what I've decided, you know? So
Or
that's when your
it
life
can happen
changes.
for a minute. Like, right? Like
Say that
it
one more
can,
time.
or it happened for like a minute,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like there's stories that I have that I've hung on to that happened like 4 years ago. And my brain is functioning from a place that that is still what's happening.
Hmm.
And so I was talking to my mentor about it yesterday, and he's like, "Yeah, you haven't updated. Like
Hmm.
your brain is functioning as if you were living a life of 4 years ago, and look
Yeah.
around you, everything has fucking changed."
Changed. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And like to
Exactly.
kind of go back to the weight of, I just thought of something, and so it's kind of going back a little bit. Um, I was in an awful marriage, and I was young, and I was putting on weight like at huge speeds. And
Hmm.
I'm short, I'm little, like I was putting it on. And when we separated, I dropped, no joke, 30 pounds in less than 2 weeks.
Hmm.
And I did fucking nothing.
Nothing. Yeah.
Literally nothing. I focused on my business and worked and vegetated in a counselor's office because I
Hmm.
was like, I need to get rid of this trauma.
Yeah.
Like, and that was it. So it was like all about growing my business and changing like my mindset, for lack of better terms, because I wanted to release the trauma that that 6 year relationship had been. And literally the weight fell off of me. And I had people that saw me like on a regular basis, and they literally were like, what the fuck happened? Like
Hmm.
you literally lost 30 pounds in 2 weeks. Like how did you do that? And
Yeah.
it was simply that I felt safe.
Yeah. You finally felt safe again. You finally felt safe to create what you wanted to create again, you know? So I don't know, like it's crazy when you actually look at your environment and you go, "Oh, the universe is actually giving me everything that I need. It's telling me exactly what I need to know. I just need to pay attention." And as
Yeah.
you said, like we are operating off of our current state of awareness. You didn't have awareness around the fact that you were living in programs that you'd created 4 years ago, right? But once you created awareness around it, now you can be like, "Oh, I can change that. I don't
Yeah.
have to think like that anymore." So,
Yeah.
this is how come I will always be a proponent for things like meditation because you got to sit with your shit.
Uh-huh.
It's and that's what happens. Like you sit with your shit and the things that come up in your brain, you start to go, "Oh, that I'm
Mhm.
doing that. Okay, yikes." Like, I think I need to do something about this. I think I need to really sit with this longer maybe, or maybe I need to talk with that person or spend time here or whatever, you know? Like you
Yeah.
become so much more aware. The more present you get into the present moment, things will come to you that might not have been there before because you were just rushing through your life at that current level, right? This is just where I am, this is what I'm thinking, and you don't change it because you don't see it. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, and that's the reason it's so important to also ask yourself questions,
Mhm.
right? And effective questions, because there is so much like when people say, "Oh, you're doing this," like, is that coming from a place of them being helpful
Mhm.
or them actually projecting onto you? And so,
Important.
yeah, you
Yeah.
need to ask questions. You need to get to know yourself.
Yeah.
And that's also why I like having mentors,
Important. Yeah.
because they're a lot more helpful at that, but you have to really vet them because
Yeah.
there's
Oh, 100%.
people that think they know, and they'll project
Absolutely.
on you as a leader. And yeah, it's very, very vital. And that's where, going back to like the whole energy of the world right now, it's more important than ever to be meditating, asking questions, having mentors, quieting yourself, because this energy is fucking insane and it will turn you upside down if you're just sloughing it away.
Hmm.
It will really mess with you. And if you're like, how does the Earth's magnetic field play a role in my life? Like, if that's kind of like how you're feeling, like think about it from like an astrology point of view, which a lot of people also don't believe in, but like, you can't tell me that the moon phases don't control the ocean,
Hmm.
that animals' migration is based off of astrology. Like, you working in the hospital, you know when it's the full moon at the
Oh yeah,
hospital.
100%. People do act different. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like for females, like look up how your cycle syncs to full moons and new moons. Like it's
Mhm.
very common. I don't know if it's like scientifically always, but like most people that I talk to that follow it, it's lining up.
Mhm.
And so, there's things that play a role in our life, and it's outside of us, and we're sometimes not aware of it, like the moon. And it's the same idea as the like electric magnetic field. Like, that magnetic pole is huge. Like a magnet can shoot across a room, to another magnet that's strong enough. So the Earth is going to have a big pull.
Hmm. Absolutely. And so I kind of want to go back for a second to the whole like having a mentor meditation and when somebody's saying something and they're projecting on you. This is
Mhm.
something that I had to figure that out with something. I had somebody that she had been my business partner and she had also been a mentor, right? So I trusted her. But what happened at one point is there was a lot of projected feelings of herself onto me.
Mhm.
And I had to really sift through a lot of things, right? And how I did that was through meditation. I had to
Yeah.
ask myself, like, is this me or is this her getting confused in what my intentions are, right? Like, because my intention was not to create XYZ, but I could see how her story was seeing. That's the thing. Perception is everything. Her
Yeah.
story that she told herself is that I was doing XYZ, whereas I was not. Like, that was not my intention. There was zero focus on that at all. And in a lot of ways, I had to really sift through that. And the best thing for me was I mean, I did go to you, Ashley, and a couple times and be like, okay, am I like this? I need to know because I need to create awareness around it if that's true.
Well, that's
Right?
external evidence too, which is
Right.
healthy. Yeah.
Absolutely. But I could have like really focused on this is the fine line, okay? Having the external evidence but not leaning on it so heavily. Like I needed the external evidence of okay, what I think is that this isn't actually happening, but this is a projection. But I need someone to kind of like validate a little bit for me. But I could have leaned so hard on what Ashley told me and been like, oh, she's full of shit and
Yeah.
like just gone that way, right? But
I
instead, I went,
completely
okay, I'm going to have, yeah, exactly. Instead, I said, I want to have some grace with this and I can
Mhm.
figure out how to just let this go and
Yeah.
move through this and release it, you know? So, that is so important. And I don't always believe you need to have a mentor in order to do that. Asking questions of other people because other people can see you in a different way. It's like in meditation, I become the observer of myself, but other people can just observe me constantly, right? So it can be helpful. But for me, meditation is the thing that helps me really unlock what I'm doing that
Yeah.
isn't actually serving me? What is the thing? And most of the time, you did Reiki on me around that time too. And you were like, you already know what you need to do. I remember you saying that like really vividly because I did know what I needed to do, right? Like it was very apparent to me what was going on. Um, I just needed to figure out what was the best way to move through the situation, right? With the most grace and the most compassion, right? So it at the end of the day, we always have the answers inside of us. We can
Yeah.
go lean in on other people, but we don't need them. One of my
Hmm.
favorite things that Dr. Joe says is that you literally become your own coach. You
Hmm.
become your own mentor because
Yeah.
you start to see where those gaps are because you've become the observer of the things
Hmm.
you're thinking and the things you're feeling, right?
Yeah.
Nobody can see those things. Nobody
Yeah.
can see the intentions behind those things. They can see the patterns of them, right?
Hmm.
And there are some people, like your mentor, for example, who's really good at seeing patterns and really good at putting that together.
Hmm.
For the most part, though, other people in our environment haven't trained themselves to watch the pattern and put together, okay, how come that person's doing that? What's the evidence of other people that have done that too, right? And so a lot of times what happens is there's a lot of projections from people that
Yeah.
could be mentors, coaches, whatever, of their past experience. And so now they're putting this information onto you. And it's like, yeah, that doesn't actually work, but I'm going to try and make it work because they told me it was true. Whereas
Yeah.
with meditation and being the observer of your own life, you don't have to do that. You can just go, oh no, I already know because I already have that level of awareness to figure out what I'm doing and what shit it is that is creating that.
Hmm. And when people do that and project in that way, that doesn't make them bad either.
Mm-mm.
Like
No.
they're seeing that from their lens, and we all do that. Like
Mm-hmm.
100%, we all project onto other people from time to time
Mm-hmm.
because we're all in our own simulation, as you call it, with our own like rose-colored glasses. And
Absolutely.
they might not be rose-colored glasses, they might be shitty brown glasses, they might
Yeah.
be, red angry glasses. And
Yeah.
so, um, or like insecure glasses. So then everyone is a threat. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's so many aspects to it. And so when you're coming from that point of view, it's not that you're trying to hurt that person or blame that person necessarily, but you can only see through that color that you're looking.
Exactly. Exactly. But the
And
more
that's
self,
is important of
yeah.
yourself.
Yeah.
And like, because you can say to yourself, like, did that person say that to me to hurt me or to
Right.
insult me? Or is that them just sharing their feelings because they want to be heard and validated? And
Absolutely.
like, I wasn't there, but to me, they wanted to be heard and validated. They weren't trying to hurt you.
Mm-mm.
Um,
They weren't.
and
There was no like mean intention, but I needed to know if it was something that was actually something I was doing, right?
yes,
So that's really important. So hopefully that all makes sense to everybody that's listening. Like understand the difference between because I wasn't going to Ashley to gossip about it either. I literally was like, I just need to know. And I think that's how I started it too. I was like, listen, like this is
I
what
don't even
happened.
know who it was initially.
I don't think I did either. Because I was like, that's not even important. Like
Yeah.
I had zero desire to create any kind of story around it. I just wanted to say this is the fact of the situation. This is what happened. I need to
Yeah.
know if this is what I actually am doing without being completely aware around it. Because if that's true, I don't want to create that in my life, right? So I want to actually figure out how to do something different. And you were like, actually, you don't do that. And I was like, okay, that's helpful. That actually is helpful because I didn't think I did either. So I took what you said and I took what I already knew about myself and I said, yeah, that is my truth. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that is the hard part about asking people's opinions because you can not have that intention and not be doing that, but because there's people with those glasses on, they're going to see it that way. And so, yeah, it's very important to ask people that are neutral, are comfortable to tell you the good, bad, and ugly.
Yeah, absolutely. And you will ask me about Derek's ex too, and I've never met her, and so I do the best I can to stay as neutral as I possibly can because I've never met her. I don't know her. I don't
Yeah.
know if there's any other stories around her. Like I don't need to know either. Like all I need to know is this is what happened.
Yeah.
What's like this, like, these are the facts of the situation, and what's a great way that you think I could move forward? And I'm going to literally go, okay, take out any biases because she's just a person who is connected to source, but disconnected because she doesn't realize that she's connected to source.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, like I have to look at her. She's still a person who's living in her own perception, right?
Yeah.
Her perception is just, this is like, this is how things are for her. You're looking at your perception. This is how things are for you, right? And so, as I kind of wade through, like, this is what I would do. I always have to consider, okay, but this is her current level of awareness. This is how she's going to look at it. Right.
Yeah.
And so the best thing that you and I have talked about is like, leave her alone as much as possible. Cause like, there ain't nothing you can do because you're working off a different level of awareness than she is. And that's
Yeah.
not good. That's not bad. That's not anything other than it just is the way it is. Right. So,
Well, and so that's one friend. I talked to her a week ago and then yesterday about this person or my partner's ex. And so a week ago, I was telling her about how I go to the school to pick up kids during her parenting week. So I see how the kids
mm,
interact with her.
yeah.
I'm like, they're rude to
Mhm.
her. And I'm like, I don't like it. Like, I understand, like, she has caused a lot of abuse in their life. And so
Absolutely.
I get it, but it is who they are. Like, you know what I mean? And so I'm like, kind of like having this conversation in front of the school with my friend about, like, oh, I'm not really sure about this because they're still choosing to respond with abuse, with like, I don't know, rudeness, like meanness or whatever you
Mhm.
want to call it. Um, and she's like, well, yeah, I think she deserves it for how she treated them. And so that's not a neutral.
That's not neutral. I won't say stuff like that because I know it's not neutral.
Yeah. And like my daughter calls her a hag during like
Mm,
to her face. Like and her I'm like, what does your bio mom say about that? And she's like, nothing. She just keeps doing what she's doing or does what I ask her to do. And I'm like, yeah, I don't think you can call her that anymore. And like this is a person that I truly loathe how she treats my children.
mhm,
And I tell my children they can't call her names because
mhm.
what and she doesn't tell them that because it's who they are.
Right.
And last weekend with all this fun energy, I was a bitch to her,
Yeah.
responded to her bitchiness with bitchiness,
Mhm.
and was telling the same friend, and she's like, "Well, yeah, like the court systems are failing you. You can only take shit for so long. Of course you're going to do that." And I'm like, mm-mm, like, because
No.
allowing her
Mhm.
to have me to align to her instead of me
Exactly.
staying in my power.
Exactly.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, so yes, like factually, she deserves it in my opinion, right? In my
Yeah, it's
colored
your perception. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
but it's affecting my soul and my vibration.
Exactly.
Yeah.
100%. And that is what's more important about the whole situation. And that's how come I will always come at it when I talk to you about it from a how do I as neutrally connect with this situation as possible because it affects you at the end of the
Yeah.
day. How you respond to her affects you. So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's where too you can't change people's perspective. Like
No.
according to her and the grandparents, I've turned the children against them.
Yeah.
And I'm over here saying, no, you can't be that rude to your mother.
Yeah.
And my son calls that grandparent by her first name or auntie. And
Mm.
I'm like, she's not your
Mm-mm.
aunt. She's your
Yeah.
grandmother. And
Yeah.
I tell them that, but I've been accused by them of telling them that I'm alienating them and saying that they're not actually their grandparents. But they can't see any different no
Right.
matter what.
Right. Yeah.
Because for some reason the kids are here and calling them auntie. And I
Yeah.
had nothing to do with it. And I'm actually encouraging the other way. But
Yeah.
so that's where you have to completely let go of how people perceive you because if someone wants to see you a certain way, like your friend or these people in my life, they're going to. It
Absolutely.
doesn't
Yeah.
matter how, like, say, like in the example of fruit, like, say I'm the best, juiciest, ripest peach in the world. They think I am a rotten tomato.
Exactly.
And there's no way I'm going to convince them that I'm a juicy peach. There's
Right.
no way.
Right.
And so you have
Exactly.
to let go.
Yeah. So, guys, I think that's a really great place for us to end off here. So, just to think about that. If you're listening on your favorite podcast host, go ahead and give us a 5-star. Let us know in the comments what your thoughts are. And if you're listening on YouTube, go ahead and give us a like, give us a subscribe. Let us know in the comments what your thoughts are as well. So, with that, we're going to call TMI Advice You Didn't Want a wrap for today. See everyone next time. Thanks so much for watching. Click on one of the videos below to continue hanging out with us, and don't forget to subscribe.